Hey guys, welcome back to Yogalates with SJ. I'm SJ and today we have a 30-minute full body workout at home or wherever you happen to be. So you don't need any equipment for the workout today. You might just come down onto your mat, maybe pausing the video if you need a little bit of time to organize yourself. We're just starting here in a seated position, fingertips facing forward, elbows straight back, feet are about hip width apart, and you are coming down into a little tricep dip. So bending the elbows and pressing back up to that starting point. Keeping length into the spine the whole time your core is engaged, closing the ribs. Next time you come up, you're bringing the right knee up and lowering it down and then pressing back down into your little hinge back. And then it's doing the other side. So we're just alternating from side to side with that little knee lift at the top, and then you're lowering back down, bending through the elbows and coming down and pressing back up. It's a really small movement here. We really want to bring our mind to the back of the arms, those tricep muscles, not locking into the elbows, so making sure you've got a soft micro bend into the elbows. You're using your core muscles to draw that knee in towards the chest, and you're maintaining that connection of the core as you lower the leg back down, bringing the foot down onto the mat. Making sure that the whole spine is in one nice long line. You're sitting up out of the pelvic floor and you're keeping the head in the same line as the rest of the back. So good, you guys. Even on both sides of the body. So you're bringing your weight evenly to both sides of the hands. So good. Staying here, guys, and we are going to just keep the feet down as you continue with that little dip down and pressing back up, really sitting up out of the sit bones as you come back up, and then you are just bending those elbows directly backwards as you start to hinge back. Core engaged the whole time, closing those ribs, breathing, using your breath to help you here as well. We're getting into every muscle today, guys. Awesome. Next time you come up, we're just lifting the pelvis up and then dropping the pelvis down, bending the elbows, coming back to that tricep dip, and then lifting the pelvis up, lowering the pelvis down, bending the elbows, coming back down, keeping this going. So it's a really small lift of the pelvis up. You can squeeze your glutes, but really just imagining that you are using your core muscles to lift you up here as well. So keeping your core engaged the whole time, closing the ribs, lifting up. Doesn't have to be very high. It can be high, it can be low. It doesn't matter. The main thing is you're connecting with those muscles of the glutes, as well as the core muscles, as well as the arm muscles. Keep it going, shoulders away from the ears. Next time you come up, guys, you're starting to lift, and then you are starting to shift forward in that lift, and then coming back, and then lowering the pelvis back down, and then coming down into that little tricep dip again. So it's just a little shift forward and back and lower down and coming down into that dip, pressing into the arms to come back up. Awesome work. Keep it going, keeping everything nice and long and releasing. Cool. We're bringing the arms forward and sitting up nice and tall. Hinge back, and you're going to circle one arm around, so it's like a little backstroke move, bringing the arm around, and then you are sitting back up and then hinging back and switching sides, bringing the other arm back and around, working into the shoulders here, keeping your core engaged the whole time. We are only coming back to a halfway point. You're keeping the back of the neck in the same line as the rest of the spine. You're keeping everything just moving in a beautiful long line, not locking out into those elbows. You've got a soft micro bend into your elbows, palms facing forward. Keeping everything going here, just keeping breathing, using your breath, lifting up, sitting up tall and lengthening back and circling the arm and lifting up, coming forward and coming back, bringing the arm all the way around, drawing up, Awesome. Staying here, bringing the hands down, fingers facing forward. We're going to press into the feet to lift the pelvis up and then lower the pelvis back down, just hovering just above the mat. So you're not quite bringing the pelvis all the way down. We're coming into a reverse tabletop. So pressing evenly into those feet, lifting the hips, and then you're starting to just lower the pelvis back down and nearly touching down, but not quite. Really working into the arms as well, shoulders away from the ears, not locking those elbows out, pressing up, lift, and lowering back down. It's the hips lifting up. You are squeezing a little bit into the glutes here as well, the back of the legs, but we're imagining that we're really lifting those hips up. And lowering down, guys. We're coming all the way back down. We're going to do the same thing, but this time we're going to extend the legs. You're going to have the toes flexing back towards your face, and you are starting to lift those hips up as you start to lengthen through the whole front side of the body. Lifting, lifting, lifting. Pelvis comes up, lowering back down with control. Awesome, coming all the way down, and we're starting to fold forward. So just starting to hinge at the hips and reach the arms forward, maybe holding onto the feet or somewhere on the legs as you let the head and the belly release down towards the top of the legs. Taking some nice deep breaths in and full breaths out. Letting go and then coming all the way back up. We're coming up to seated, and you're bringing the soles of the feet onto the mat, reaching the arms forward and hinging back to a halfway point. We're starting to come to the left side, back through center as you lift back up, and then you're coming to the right side and back through center, lifting back up. So it's a slight little hinge back as you bring the fingertips to the waist, and then coming back up through center and going to the other side. The elbow goes straight back, shoulders away from the ears, keeping your core engaged the whole time. Seeing if you can come back a little bit lower each time on each side, and lifting up out of the pelvic floor and sitting up really, really tall out of the pelvis as you come up through center. We're working through the waist here, so really not so much moving through the lower body. See if you can keep the lower body really, really even, and you're not rocking around through the legs. You are twisting through that space through the belly button around the waist. One more on each side here. And then you're coming up. We're coming to a butterfly position with the legs. The knees are coming out wide, bringing the soles of the feet together or slightly apart, allowing the head and the belly to come down between the legs, arms releasing. Taking a nice deep breath in and out. Then we're coming back up. You are coming back into that hinge back position. So coming to that halfway point. We're doing a figure eight here. So fingertips are pointing inward toward each other. You've got your elbows out wide. You're starting to come over to one side and then circling it around and coming over to the other side. Keeping, again, everything really, really still through the low body. You're keeping your core engaged. You are letting your gaze follow the movement of the arms, flowing with this. And all the movement is coming from that belly button, that space around the belly button here. And we are really working through the waist, the oblique muscles, keeping your ribs closed. Awesome. And then just grabbing hold of behind the legs and just taking a moment here to lift up out of the tailbone, sitting up nice and tall, and then starting to lower back down and coming onto your back. Reaching your arms nice and long, really letting the back of the shoulders connect down onto the mat, bringing the soles of the feet to the mat, and then you're starting to lengthen the legs up towards the ceiling, bringing the legs into a tabletop position, so bending the knees, and then you're bringing the right leg to be straight and the left knee is still bent here. You are starting to bring the left knee out to the side, you're lengthening the leg out and then bringing the knee back in and continuing with this. So it is a little close of that knee inward. You're using your inner thighs to really draw the leg back in, and then you are opening the hip out and then straightening the leg and keeping that connection the whole time of your core muscles as you work through this. On the right leg, it can either be still here, or you could, if you want to, start to bring that right leg out as well as you open the left knee out to the side. So you can start to find even more openness across the front side of the pelvis and the hips here. But we just want to work with whatever feels good. You might just feel better to have that right leg still and just work through the left side, opening out that left hip. Let's switch sides, guys. So starting to bend through the right knee, and you're bringing the left leg long, and we are continuing with this on this other side. So really making sure that you've got the tailbone grounded down, you've got the shoulders away from the ears, relaxing into the jaw. You are using those inner thighs to magnet together, and then you are keeping strength through the outer thighs and the hips as you open out. And we are working to lengthen, strengthen, all of these good things here with these movements in the classes. So we're building long, lean muscle. We're getting into all of the muscles of the body. Awesome. This time we're just going to start to bend through one knee and straighten the other leg out, and then bend through the other knee, and we're just alternating from side to side. As you start to lengthen one leg up, you're starting to lift the pelvis up. So it's a little reverse crunch. And we are just moving from one side to the other. You can keep the knees glued together. You're lifting up, tiny little lift, using those low ab muscles to lift up, lower down, and switching sides. So very small movement. It might not even be hardly at all a lift up. You might just be bringing your mind to those core muscles that we're working. Just working with what you have today, what feels good, where you can feel it at your own pace. Awesome. And release, guys. Bringing the soles of the feet down onto the mat. We're bringing the right leg long, and we're going to start to circle the right leg out and around, coming to kind of a half moon shape here. So you've got the toes slightly turned out, heels slightly turned in, that hip is open on the right side, and you're just circling it around and then coming back through center, using your core muscles to really work through this whole movement here. So we are keeping that connection of core the whole time. The core is stabilizing you here as you work through this. If you want it to be even more challenging, you could bring the left leg long as well. So rather than having the foot on the mat, you might lengthen the leg out. It's pretty challenging just with that bend in that knee. Awesome. Let's release it here, and let's bring the other leg up. So left leg comes up. You have got the toes slightly turned out. We're starting to circle it to that halfway point, coming all the way around. So it's out and around, and then out and around. Core engaged, hip is slightly open here through that left side, keeping still through the pelvis. Everything else is nice and still. It's only the hip working here. Awesome. And taking your time, coming all the way around. The slower you go, the more challenging. The core needs to really work to stabilize. Awesome. Releasing the foot down when you're ready. And we are coming down, bringing both feet onto the mat, finding evenness through both sides of those feet. And we're starting to reach the fingertips towards the back of the heels. You're going to start to come up into a bridge. So lifting the pelvis up. Lifting as you bring the arms up and overhead, and then you're starting to lower back down, rolling the spine vertebra by vertebra, coming back down. Pelvis is the last to arrive. So inhale as you come up, reaching the fingertips up overhead, lifting the hips up high, and then rolling back down and releasing. Fingertips come down towards those heels. Keeping this going, so you're coming up really high onto the back of those shoulders, finding length into the back of the neck. Gaze is straight up, seeing if you can come up a little bit higher each time. You're pressing evenly into both feet, and you are keeping those knees sort of tracking directly forward or slightly out. We don't want those knees to roll inward here. We are lifting up, using your core muscles to lift the whole front side of that pelvis towards the ceiling. Back of the shoulders are connected to the mat the whole time. Reaching, lifting, squeezing up and lowering back down, controlling everything down. Keeping your whole core engaged. You are keeping the back body engaged. The whole front side of the body is opening out towards the ceiling. You are pressing into those feet evenly. Breathing in as you lift up, reach, and lowering back down with control as you exhale, releasing. Awesome. Starting to stay here. We're bringing the feet in a little bit closer, and we're starting to come onto the left toes. You've got your right foot connected down onto the mat. You've got your left heel lifted, and then you're just starting to lift and lower, alternating to either side. So lifting one heel, lowering the other, and switching to the other side. Just really squeezing into the calf muscles here, keeping the tailbone grounded down, keeping the core engaged, belly button to spine, ribs are closed. Awesome work. Breathing in and breathing out and releasing, coming down. Both feet come down. And then you're starting to lift only the left heel. Left heel lifts. And we're starting to press into that bridge on the side, starting to lower all the way back down with control. So just keeping that left heel lifted as you lift up into your bridge, keeping your hips even to the sky, even though you're a little bit unbalanced because you've got that left heel lifted. We want to imagine that we are keeping the weight still even through both sides. So you're keeping really central here of the whole body. Seeing if you can come up a little bit higher each time. You're pressing into all four corners of that right foot, but at the same time, keeping your weight even through both sides. Awesome. Now we're coming down. We're bringing just the heel to come to the mat of that left side. You are lifting the left toes up. So flexing the left toes towards the face. You're lifting up, coming to that bridge, lowering back down and coming back up and lift. Exhale as you lower back down. Keep it going, keeping those hips square. Coming up high onto the back of those shoulders. You're keeping length through the back of the neck. Keeping a little bit of space between the chin and the chest. Ribs are closed. Core is lifting you up. Lift. Feeling that strength, how strong you are. Lifting up as high as you can. Lowering back down with control. Rolling the spine from the top all the way down. Pelvis arrives last. Awesome. Let's come over to the other side. So staying here, finding evenness through both sides. You're lifting the right heel up and you are starting to lift up, pressing into that left foot. Evenly though through both sides. So we are lifting all the way up, lowering back down with control, keeping it going. Breathing in as you come up. Lift. You can use your hands here, your arms to help you if you want to, or you can be really light on the arms. Seeing if you can really use the hamstrings, the glutes, the core, the hips, all of the front and back side of that body to really find that lift rather than so much using your arms. So totally up to you, whatever feels good. Working into that, making sure you're challenging yourself but not going too far with it. Awesome. And coming all the way back down, and we are just bringing the heel of that right foot to come to the mat. You've got your toes flexed and you are starting to press into that left supporting foot and lifting up, keeping even through that center line, lowering back down, keeping the toes flexed of that right foot. Pressing into the heel, lifting as you inhale, exhale, starting to lower back down. Seeing if you can try not to bring the pelvis all the way down. So still maintaining that connection of the whole powerhouse. When you're ready, just coming all the way back down, releasing. Awesome. Little rock from side to side as you come down. and we are coming to lengthen the legs up towards the ceiling. Knees are slightly bent here. You can bring your hands behind the head, cradling the back of the head in the hands. You're doing a little crunch up, so bringing the head up, shoulders up. We're just starting to bring the knees up towards you as you start to then lower them down a little bit and keep it going. So you're just using the low abs here to draw in and then start to allow the legs to come a little bit away from the body. It's not too much of a movement here. We are just really bringing our mind to those low abdominal muscles, bringing the elbows out wide. Your gaze is directly at your belly here as you work through this. And then when you're ready, releasing, bringing the head all the way back down. You're starting to lengthen the right leg up. The left leg is bent. And then you're starting to do a little bicycle here. So starting to just alternate from one leg to the other, bending one knee in towards the chest as the other leg goes long. And then you're switching it out. And as you do this, just finding length into the back of the neck, making sure that the belly button is really pressing in towards the spine. You're keeping a length through the leg that's extending. You're really lengthening out. And as you draw the knee back in, you're using those low abdominal muscles to really draw the knee in towards the chest. And then you're maintaining that connection of the core as you start to lengthen out. So we are keeping connected to our core the whole time, finding length. Now let's reverse it, going back the other way. So you're just starting to pedal back in the opposite direction, finding more and more length. You can point the toes, finding that beautiful long line out the toes, hips extending, nice stretch for the front side of the hips here as well, keeping the ribs closed down. Back of the shoulders connected to the earth and releasing, bringing the soles of the feet down onto the mat, and you're lifting the glutes up towards the ceiling, pressing into both feet evenly as you lift up nice and high, lifting. And then we're just starting to drop the hips to one side. So one hip drops down, coming back through center, and then the other hip drops down, coming back through center. So maintaining the lift in that bridge position, but then we're just starting to drop one hip down, and then we're coming back through center and then dropping the other hip down. Just a small little drop down to one side. I want you to see if you can keep the knees even, so you're not kind of rocking around in the knees or the low legs. We are really just trying to isolate this to the core muscles as well as the hips here, finding that little bit of a twist into the waist without sort of working through the knees or the lower body, the rest of the body here. Lifting up out of those shoulders, pressing into the back of the shoulders to keep you lifted, and then lowering all the way down, and we are continuing here. So you've just got one little tilt to one side and then the other, and then you are coming back down and then lifting back up and lowering to one side, back through center, coming to the other side, back through center, rolling the spine as you release the pelvis back down. Inhale, lifting up, and exhale, coming to one side, back through center, then the other, back through center. You can let your gaze follow the hip that is dipping down as well, so you can find a nice little stretch into the side of the neck, and also a little bit of a release into the back of the skull here. Seeing if you can come up even higher each time, maybe dropping down that hip a little bit lower each time as well. Just making sure that you aren't twisting though into those knees. So we'd want to try and keep the knees directly forward or turn slightly out. You've still got your evenness through the feet and keeping your core engaged. Beautiful work, you guys. When you're ready, coming all the way down, you're bringing the pelvis down onto the mat. Just moving a little bit here into the legs, whatever feels good. And then you can just start to bring both knees in towards the chest, big hug of those knees. Just maybe a little bit of movement here. And then we're starting to bring the feet out a little bit wider. So they're coming about mat width apart, turning the toes slightly out, heels slightly turned in. Bringing your hands onto your belly, and we're starting to lift up. So you're bringing the pelvis up, keeping the belly button to spine, and then you are drawing those inner thighs inward as you lift into that bridge pose, bringing the inner thighs in, little magnet, and then starting to bring them out as you lower the pelvis back down. So we're working into those inner thighs as well as the inside of the upper inner thighs, so sort of into that groin as well, as you squeeze in and then open out and then lower back down. We're also working into strengthening the hips here too. So keeping this going, keeping your belly button to spine. It's really helpful to have the hands on the belly so that you can really feel into that connection of the core working in this. Trying to keep your weight even through both sides of the feet. And lifting, 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 coming up nice and high, squeezing in, drawing the pelvic floor as well up as you draw the knees in toward each other, opening back out and lowering back down with control. It looks so easy, but when you're doing it, you're definitely feeling it. Getting really strong here. Beautiful work, you guys. Taking your time to let the feet come all the way back down and just bringing the feet in a little bit closer. Starting to hug the left knee in towards the left shoulder. Any movement here into the foot that feels good. Then starting to just lengthen the left leg long and bringing the head and shoulders up, elbows out wide. You're going to start to alternate from side to side. So we're bringing the left knee in and then bringing the right knee in. Keeping this going, keeping your head and shoulders lifted. You're bringing the outside hand to the ankle as the inside hand comes to the inside of the knee. Keeping your core engaged, ribs are closed. If it's too much for your neck, you can always bring your head down and keep it going. Otherwise, just lifting up out of that core, staying strong, breathing, guys, alternating from side to side. We are getting right into the core now. We're really warming up. We are actually coming towards the end of the workout. So keep it going, you guys. We're going to end strong. Keep it going. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, release. Coming down, guys. Releasing. So good. You've done so awesome. Just starting to let the legs come up long. And just any movement into the feet, the toes that feel good, reaching the arms down by your sides, letting the back of those shoulders connect down onto the mat. Just taking a moment here. We're just bringing the feet out and the legs to come out wide, and then you are letting the toes fall inward and then coming out again. And then we are drawing back in using the inner thighs to draw the legs back in toward each other. So it's an open out, bend through the knees and then open back out and then draw back in. Keeping it going, guys, keeping your tailbone lengthened down to the end of the mat, keeping your core engaged. We're opening it out, dropping the knees, and we are keeping nice and strong through the core, working into the outer hips. We are working into the inner thighs, finding length each time. Beautiful work. Coming back through center, flexing the toes back towards the face, keeping that flex of the feet, and you're starting to open the legs out, then closing the legs back up. We are continuing here with this, keeping the toes flexed and heels pressing up towards the ceiling. You're lengthening the tailbone down towards the end of the mat, using those inner thighs to draw in. Little magnet of those inner thighs drawing in, and then keeping that connection as you open the hips out to the sides. Feeling the outer thighs also working here as you bring the legs out, and inner thighs really drawing back in. Amazing. Starting to bend through the knees, grab hold of somewhere on the legs, maybe behind the knees. Just let the feet relax, allowing the knees to come out wide. Anything that feels good here. It might be a little rock from side to side. Maybe circling as we start to unwind. You've done so amazing today, guys. It was beautiful to do this workout with you. If you enjoyed it, you might like to check out some of the other workouts on the channel, Yoga Pilates, all the good things, strength training at home with no equipment needed. full body, or you might like to subscribe to the channel, make sure that you have your notifications turned on for all the new workouts every week. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day, whatever it is that you happen to be doing. Can't wait to see you again on the mat. Well done, guys. Have the most incredible rest of your day. Namaste.